My name is Oliver Queen. For 5 years, I was stranded on an island with only one goal. Survive.
Oliver Queen is alive.
Now I will fulfill my father's dying wish to use the list of names he left me and bring down those who are poisoning my city. To do this, I must become someone else. I must become something else.
Hello and welcome to the Arrowfans UK review podcast. This one is going to be reviewing the first 9 episodes of Season 2 so far. Just general thoughts about them. We're going to have a look at some of the best and worst bits of it so far, and have a little look ahead to the rest of Season 2. I'm Bradley, and I'm joined today, as usual, by Cory.
Hi guys.
We were going to have CJ on, but he was busy. Never mind, we'll get him on at some point again. He's got some theories about Arrow, I think, so it'd be nice to have him on and get some more theories that aren't ours, that we've sort of regurgitated over the last few episode review podcasts, which, by the way, seem to have improved in listening. We're getting not a massive listen, but we're getting some, and just makes recording it worth it, because it does take a little while to record and edit and stuff like that. So we do appreciate everyone who does listen. So to start off with, I'm going to have a rant, and it's about Sky One. Now, for the past year and a half, I've been very happy with Sky One in the fact that they're airing Arrow within a week or 2 weeks of it airing in the US. So we're no more than 2 episodes behind, and that was at the start of Season 1 last year. This entire 2013, we have been 1 episode behind. Now what they've announced is that instead of being 1 episode behind, we're going to be, I think, by the way I've worked it out, 5 behind, and the show's moving to a Thursday. I mean, what is that about? I don't see why Sky One would want to do that. First of all, it makes us wait longer for the Arrow episodes, which means there's more likely to be spoilers. And because there's more likely to be spoilers, people are more likely to watch it illegally, and then not watch it on Sky One. Therefore, making the viewing figures that aren't exactly very high for Sky anyway, but actually for the UK they're alright, go down even more. So, I mean, Cory, what do you think?
I basically just have a lot of questions and not very many answers. I mean, I don't really see the thinking in it, because from what we know, I think Arrow's been quite successful over here. I think we saw one of the producers tweeting that the support in the UK has been very good, and sort of, I'm not so worried with it starting a little later, but that's sort of alright. But the whole moving to a Thursday thing, I don't really understand, because changing the slot of it, I don't know.
Well, I mean, hang on, I'm just going to put it up. I think from the way I work it out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Yeah, we're going to be 6 episodes behind when it airs on the 20th. 6 episodes. That is ridiculous.
Twitter's a very evil place, so people may very well get spoiled in that time too.
Yeah, I would recommend unfollowing all your Arrow accounts, apart from us, of course, because we're in keeping with the UK. We're not going to spoil you at all. We're not interested in that. We've had enough of that to help done to ourselves. So, we're going to spare you it. But yeah, I mean, I can't see it at all. What is the point?
Yeah, I think that's basically how you'd sum it up.
But there is one positive in the fact that, unlike last year, we don't get the break between like episode 15 or 16 and for a couple of weeks, and before like 19, 20, and the last few episodes, like we did last year, between, I can't remember which ones it was now. But yeah. With
16 to 17, I think it was.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway.
Yeah. So we won't get that, which is a small positive, but it's not very big of one, to be honest. So, anyway, moving on. So we're going to move on and actually start talking about Season 2. We're going to start off with a best and worst of category. So we've got a few categories, and we're going to go through. We're going to start off with something that doesn't have the worst, just the best, because it would be kind of strange to have the worst, most improved character. You could have the least improved character, but we're not going to do that. That would just come under worst character. So the most improved character, who do you have then, Cory?
I think someone who has sort of improved this season, I think actually is Thea. I think she got a bit repetitive in season 1, but I think so far this season she's been more together. I think she's been more interesting. And yeah, I just think they've developed her really well. I think Roy could be up there too. I think I didn't really like him at first last season, but going to really like him this year. I think those two have developed rather well.
Yeah, I mean, Thea was the kind of the queen daughter who just wanted everything for herself, and you know, that kind of person. Now she's turned into this, runs the club. She's sort of respectable. Whereas last year she wasn't, taking vertigo, crashing her car, all that. And definitely with Roy as well, considering he was a criminal last year.
Yeah.
He still is this year, but not so much. But, like, the thing with it, he's doing good now. Working. Doing that kind of good. Just being a criminal. At least he's busy being a criminal trying to do good things. It's not so bad.
Yeah, he's got more of a life plan.
Yeah. Not that much more, but,
Well,
you know. The obvious choice for me was Oliver.
Yeah.
But I didn't go with him. I went with Lance. That's not Laurel, by the way. It's Quentin. He's really improved from last season, I think. Last season he was just sort of a cop that, until like the last episode when he needed Felicity's help to stop the earthquake, it was just like the Arrows or the Vigilante is doing really bad stuff. We need to catch him. I need a task force to catch him. I'm going to devote my entire life to catching him. And it's just like, really? Can you not see that he's doing more good in this city in the last year than the police has in the last 20?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head very much there.
But at least this season he's sort of working with him. Okay, he's not like part of Team Arrow, but he's sort of getting information, and all of us getting information off him, and they're sort of working together. And it's nice to see as well.
Yeah, I was actually, when I was sort of talking about Roy and Thea just then, I was actually thinking Lance in my head, and yeah, he definitely has improved this season. Well, it's just a very good shout.
And I like Paul Blackthorne.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, just epic. So yeah, I think, so we've got Roy and Thea and Lance down there, for the most improved. So we're going to we'll go on to guest star. So this one I'm going to cheat a little bit, because it can be guest star, or the actual actress or actor, or the guest star character, I'll allow. Because obviously it's sort of the same thing. So who do you have for the best?
This one's been hard because I think the standard's been really good. But what I eventually decided on Sarah in the end, because I think what they've done with her is pretty unique. I think the way she sort of mirrored Oliver, and sort of the journey she's been on too, and I think introducing her anyway after making it look like she was dead, and sort of the threat she's brought with her has been really good. I mean, you could choose from plenty. I mean,
There's been enough.
yeah, I mean, everybody sort of just, I think all of them have sort of been a positive on the season. Yeah, but I think she's sort of been the standout for me, and I think there's a lot of story to her, I guess, there's still to be told. Sort of, obviously she's been in it more than most, but I think one of the things you want to do with guest characters, guest stars, is sort of, obviously you don't want them to infringe on the main cast, but you want to give them some room to develop so you can bring them back, and I think obviously she definitely ticks some boxes for that.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, actually. She has been useful. I wasn't really too keen on her returning from the dead, and then we got told that she died twice, apparently. But, you know, I mean, Yes. It's a good choice in bringing her back, and obviously you can have her in the island. So, okay, she's left in the present day, but she's still there, basically.
Yeah.
That's good. I had one of my favourites from this season, just because she is epic. Bex Taylor Claus as Sin.
That's another very good shout, I've got to say.
I mean, I wasn't quite sure what to expect from Sin, and in that first episode, with just like the first moment that Roy saw her and had to chase after her, just the sort of the spiky hair and the very little dialogue.
Yeah.
And then when she was with Sarah in the thing with the next episode with the burgers and whatever, that was just brilliant.
Yeah, I can't put it better than that, really.
And I think she's provided a useful sort of intermediary, I think, between like Roy and sort of Thea as well, because obviously she knows that Roy's working with the Arrow, or was, and she's sort of game to do whatever really, whereas Thea obviously doesn't. And that sort of side of things, how she can go with Roy. But yeah, I've really liked her.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's been another great addition. I think they've, well, like I said, I think they've done that really well this season, and she's sort of, I think like you were saying with Roy and Thea, she sort of added to their story too. I mean, she's sort of firmly in that group, but if we just had sort of Roy working with the Vigilante, Arrow, whatever we want to call him right now, and sort of Thea worrying about him, not knowing stuff, that probably would have got a little...
Boring?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She just sort of adds an extra dimension to that and just keeps it fresh, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. Very good. Okay, so worst guest star or guest character. While you think about that, I'll go first. I've gone for Cynthia Adai Robinson as Amanda Waller. Now, other than the fact that she has the red shoes and she might be the woman we saw in Darkness on the Edge of Town, and the fact that she knows that Diggle, Oliver and Felicity are Team Arrow, which just gets on my nerves enough, what was the point? Really, what was the point?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually inclined to agree with you on her being the worst guest star, because, like I was saying about adding to the story, I guess in that case she didn't really, it was just...
I might have to go back and time it, but I think it's about a minute she lasted.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure they're grooming her for a better purpose and she's a big comic thing.
Yeah.
But what was the point? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best way to sum it up there. I mean, she didn't really add much. I guess it was just an introduction, really, getting her in the show, but in terms of the episode, it's sort of, you could have had other ways to get around that, and...
Well, yeah, you could have had someone else from Argus doing it, or she could have been more involved.
Yeah.
Just, ugh. Yeah. I was going to go with the another person, but I've saved that for a different category.
Alright.
So, yeah, I'll come to that in a bit. Who did you go for?
I sort of been summing it up in my, drumming it up in my head. I think you've got a very good one there. Possibly, I don't know, the copycat archers maybe in the first episode. I mean, they were a good threat, but I thought in terms of like the backstory to some of them.
Maybe you want to save that for worst villain.
Yeah, that's probably a better idea. Yeah, to be honest, I agree with you with Amanda Waller. She didn't really do much. So.
Yeah, win for me.
Yep, you win.
Yes, I'm liking this so far. Right, so we're going to go on and move on, and best villain.
There's plenty to choose from.
Mine was Ivo. I think, as a kind of an evil genius, he's been portraying it very well. And he's been very useful and just brilliant, really. I've liked him. He's much better than Fires.
Yeah, definitely. But it's just a bit of a cold-hearted nut job, and who doesn't love that?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you go for?
I think I quite like Brother Blood in terms of the image he's got when he puts on the mask. I think the whole voice, the mask and everything, just think that's got a real sort of presence to it, and like I think sort of you get sort of iconic looking villains, I guess, in these sorts of things, and I think he's just got that kind of look that sort of sticks with you. And obviously, I think we'll see more of him. Well, of course we're going to see more of him as the season goes by, but I just really like him as a threat, and I think obviously we've got two big bads with Slade in there too now, but if I was sort of comparing him to Malcolm, I mean, John Barrowman, stupid tongue. John Barrowman was awesome as Malcolm, and I think I think the thing they've done really well is they haven't sort of chosen to just replicate that sort of villain. They've done something entirely different, and yeah, I just think he's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, I would say he was going to be my second choice, but I thought he's pretty obvious.
No, yeah.
Go with someone else. But yeah, I'd agree with that. I've liked him. So we're going to the worst villain.
Yeah, I mean, I said it a little bit ago. I think probably the copycat.
The Hoods.
Yeah, the Hoods. They weren't. I nearly said copycat archers, but they weren't exactly using bows and arrows. Anyway,
No.
I think. I mean, I thought they were sort of useful to get Ollie back in and everything. I mean, obviously that first episode was more about him coming back and getting the whole I'm going to be a hero now, do this for Tommy and all that. But it wasn't so much what they did. I think it's just a whole backstory to him. It just sort of felt a little bit forced. I think it's sort of, I don't know, I think to a degree they sort of almost tried to make you feel for him, but I just didn't really care for him that much, really. And yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, we want to kidnap and kill whoever was behind this. Yeah. It's not really the way to get someone to like someone.
No.
I mean, it's not going to get you to have any sort of sympathy for them whatsoever. If someone was killing on their behalf, you'd have sympathy for them. Not for the killers, but for them.
Yeah.
But they're killing, you have no sympathy for them. So, yeah, they were... And it was the other thing about it, calling them the Hoods, basically just a way of getting the Hood nickname away from Oliver.
Yeah, they sort of... I guess they just felt like a plot device, really.
Mm.
They didn't really feel like fleshed out villains. They were more just helping get Ollie back, get rid of the Hood's nickname and all that.
If you're going to have an actual villain, make sure they're an actual villain, not a plot device.
Yeah.
Because it's not very good when they're not. Yeah, my one, and I was tempted to put him down as worst guest star, and I thought, no, I'll put him down as villain, and then I can have Amanda Waller for guest star, but Bronze Tiger.
Yeah, I think so.
If not just for the fact that he was using his metal claws that were somehow attached to his hands to hit arrows out of the sky and snap them into 4 pieces. It's worse than the arrow catching, and I'd never think I would ever say anything to that.
No, I mean, it sort of, the arrow catching, although annoying, it does have a degree, I guess, of possibility to it, but...
Really?
Well, not... I'm sort of comparing it to the whole Metal Claws arrow disintegration thing. Like... They're pretty sturdy arrows, and he just manages to snap them to bits by flashing his hands about. I mean,
Yeah, really? It's just not believable.
No, and I think also he's a villain that when I sort of saw the promos and stuff, I thought he'd kind of be decent, I guess, and sort of, when you kind of expect something from a villain or sort of story like that, I guess I kind of sort of expected a lot from him, and I guess I just found him a little bit boring in the end, almost.
Well, I mean, I researched him a little bit because I know he's obviously a comic thing. He's part of the Suicide Squad. You would expect someone of that sort of level of... I don't know what I'm saying, but someone who's that into the DC comic universe, you'd think they'd have a better character for him.
Yeah.
But, anyway. So we've gone for the Hoods and Bronze Tiger there. So we're going to go on Best Scene. I think you have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to go for, so what are you going to go for?
I mean, there's quite a few to talk. There are quite a few to talk about, and that you can choose from. I've been mulling it over and sort of thinking for different reasons, and I ended up going for Tommy, Ghost Tommy, getting Oliver to fight back. And the reason I went for that is sort of when Tommy died at the end of season 1, although they kind of sort of brought closure to their friendship, I kind of didn't really feel it was completely closed. Like, I didn't really feel that Tommy and Ollie were sort of at peace with each other. I just thought it was a cool way to bring that to peace, and it was nice that he was the one that made Ollie fight back, and I guess it was a nice way to just sort of wrap the first part of the season in a nice little bow, because the whole reason Ollie's doing this new thing, not killing and stuff, is for Tommy. And yeah, it's just kind of reflecting on what's gone before, I guess.
Yeah, that was my runner-up, to be fair.
Oh.
Yeah. Obviously, this whole season's been devoted to Tommy not killing because Tommy called him a murderer, and he sort of took a hard look at himself. So yeah, I'd agree with that. It's not bad. You know exactly what I'm going to say for mine, don't you?
Yeah.
Slade's reveal. That was up there with Tommy's death and a couple of scenes from Person of Interest as the best scene of the year for me. It was just pure evil, and it was epic. There is nothing more that needs to be said about that.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
That's why I'm keeping quiet, 'cause I've got nothing to add to that. So.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it in a couple of weeks ago in the Three Ghosts podcast, but just, it's fantastic. I've watched it so many times. Yeah, I know, I need a life.
Don't worry. I've done it too, don't worry.
That's good. So we're gonna, worst scene.
Probably for me when Ollie ends up sleeping with Isabel in episode 6. Mainly, I think I said it in the podcast at the time, the previous episode he turned down Laurel when she kind of made a pass at him, and then next episode he gets a little bit drunk, I'm guessing, and ends up having very, very fast sex with someone who he hasn't exactly got along with. And it's sort of, for it to work, I guess, you kind of had to feel some sort of attraction between them, or some sort of sexual tension or whatever. And I just didn't really feel that, so it kind of just sort of seemed a bit forced and just a bit, mainly a plot device to kind of make Felicity a bit miffed. And
Jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then 2 episodes later we get Barry. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't very good, was it?
No.
I mean, we talked about it in the podcast and we kind of got into a bit of an awkward bit, but
Yeah.
TV sex doesn't last very long, but that was just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's over in about
Yeah.
a minute and a half.
I think that's a bit generous.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't say any more. We'll
Consider-
probably get an awkward
considering-
discussion.
Considering we had a scene in between them going into the room and him leaving. Yeah. Anyway. my one's a bit complicated, actually. My one is one of my favourite scenes of the season, but it's my worst because it's ridiculous that this scene had to even exist. I'm sure you can probably guess what I'm going to go for, but Laurel having that emotional moment with her father at the end of Broken Dolls. Oh, Tommy's death was my fault. It's my fault that he died. That was awful.
Yeah.
The fact that it took 5 months and 3 episodes from Sacrifice for her to realise that just makes it... Ugh. I just hate it.
Yeah, yeah, same here pretty much.
I mean, I said it from the start of the season, in the City of Heroes review that I did. It's like, well, what is Laurel blaming the Arrow for? The fact that, and as Lance perfectly summed up earlier in that episode, a guy with a bow and arrow couldn't save a guy from a falling building. Or Words to that effect.
Yeah, I mean, this is Arrow, it's not Superman, so...
No, exactly. I mean, yeah. Just the fact that it had to happen was awful. Anyway, best character.
Probably an obvious choice, but I'm going to go with Felicity, because the majority of things she says are pure gold. I think she's come along really well this season too. Yeah, I mean, I think she's just great.
I mean, I think, I do like her, but I think with the kind of making jokes and the one-liners and whatever, it's like we were saying in Three Ghosts. If they kept Barry around, it would have got boring.
Yeah.
We've had these one-liners from Felicity for over a year now. They're good, but they're starting to get a little bit over the top, I think.
Yeah, I think... I guess the way you look at it is there's a time and a place, perhaps. Also, I think... hopefully what they'll do over the course of the season is flesh Felicity out a bit more. I think I read somewhere we're going to get more of a backstory, or I might have invented that in my mind, one of the two. But I mean, if we were to do that, then that'd probably be quite decent, just to learn a bit more about her. And obviously we'll probably see where her Oliver crush may go. Yeah, but I mean, if they can flesh her out a bit more over the course of the season, I think that would be a welcome thing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, we don't know anything about Felicity at all. So we need a backstory episode, but yeah. My best character, I kind of got carried away, I thought we were going on the worst. I'm losing it. My best character would be Oliver.
Yeah.
I just think, I mean, I know it probably could have come under most improved, but since I went for Lance for that, he's just been good this season. Last season was sort of, some of his morals were a little bit odd, whereas this season is just sort of, he's got some more of a brain.
Yeah, I think one of the ones to 2 episodes last season to sum that up were, I can't actually remember the episode numbers, but there's one, it was one where the Count came back, it might have been episode 18, but he got annoyed at Diggle for not showing up and helping him, and then the next episode after that, he wasn't there for Diggle anyway, with Deadshot, so...
That'd be 19 and 20.
Yep, that's the ones.
Yes. I'd agree there. Especially, like this season, he's sort of... I had an example in my head. No, I remember now. This season, he's, feared. He fears stuff now. Obviously, this Mirakuru thing is obviously a big thing.
Yeah.
But he's scared of it. Last season, he was just like, yeah, who cares? Up until the end with Malcolm Merlin, when he's like, I don't know how to defeat him. He's beaten me twice. I don't know how to defeat him. That was it. This season, he's actually kind of been afraid of this.
Yeah, I mean, sort of, I think that makes a good hero, really, because almost an invincible hero, fearless hero, it's kind of boring. Ones with fears, but they still overcome them. It just makes them more full.
Yeah, I think we finished with that. Not much more. Worst character?
Probably Laurel so far this season.
Yep.
I think, yeah, she's just not been very likeable. And
kill her off.
yes.
No, don't do that. I mean, I think she's going to become the Black Canary. I think. Although Sarah is doing a very good job. But I think she's just irritating. I mean, the fact that she's doing drugs and the DUI and the whole idea of, for 3 episodes, the Arrow was responsible for Tommy's death and not me. It's just, ugh. It's like I said I can't remember when it was. They're trying to represent to us what Quentin was like.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to see that.
No.
That's the thing. I just can't understand it at all. So, I think we're in a We're in agreement there.
Yeah, definitely. Just hopefully it doesn't last too much longer, I guess.
Well, I think they're going to bring in some more storyline for the next few episodes, I've read.
Yes.
So that'd be nice. So, the big category. The best and worst episode. So we'll start off with the worst episode, just to be confusing.
I think probably the one... I mean, obviously the standard's been really very, very good, but if I'm sort of ranking them, I think the one that I least liked would be episode 6. I think it was Keep Your Enemies Closer.
Mm-hmm.
Just mainly, I think we sort of, to start off the season, we'd had 5 episodes, and I think we sort of were saying on the podcast, well, we weren't doing podcasts then, in the reviews, Okay, we were. Oh yeah, we did League of Assassins. Okay, just ignore me. Anyway, no, I think we were saying that the standard was just going up week on week, and I think that was the first one where it didn't really improve on League of Assassins, and I think I said already about Oliver sleeping with Isabel, and obviously we had Amanda Waller in there as well, and yeah, and then obviously we had the final 3 episodes which were all pretty awesome. And it wasn't a bad episode, but it's sort of the weakest, I guess, I'd say.
So I went with Slate vs. Queen.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, okay, you had the Malcolm Merlin thing come back at the end, that was really good. But the rest, and obviously the Count coming back, which I wasn't happy with, to be fair. But I was glad he wasn't again.
Yeah.
The whole I'm going crazy. They never quite explained how he went from being crazy to not being crazy at any point ever. They never explained it.
I mean, they were saying season 1, I think, that I don't know if they said nobody recovered from a vertigo overdose, or it's supposed to be deadly. Episode 19, we see him all cuckoo, and then he comes back and he's completely fine, just reading in his cell.
Yes. I mean, but there were a couple of bits, like Oliver killing, but the rest of it was dull, because there wasn't that much. Most of it was in the courthouse. And when, the good thing about Arrow is the fact that everything happened in a different place. You're always looking around, trying to figure out what's going on. The courthouse was just kind of dull. Okay, this stuff's coming out. Yeah.
I think when we were, I don't know if it was right in the review or the podcast, but I think it was one of those episodes where we had the Malcolm reveal, but aside from that, we sort of, not much really happened. There wasn't much to talk about from it.
No. I mean, there were a couple of revelations about Moira, the fact that she was with Malcolm, but that kind of, you could just include that with the Malcolm bit.
Yeah.
There really wasn't much, to be honest. So yeah, that's my one. So we come on to the biggest bit, the best episode. You know exactly what I'm going to say, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the finale, Three Ghosts. And
yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to look past that, really, because it's sort of, I guess the way to sum up it was just an episode that kind of had everything to a degree.
I think it's a bit like Sacrifice last year, where it was literally, for the 40-odd minutes, you're just sitting there like, what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to happen. And then when it comes to the end, you're thinking, oh, that's okay, I can wait a little while until the next one, because the actual end of the cliffhanger, that's a poor example, actually, if I'm going to say that. But so much happened that it's like, well, that's a really good place to... I don't even know what I'm saying now. I've lost it completely.
I think it sort of was an episode, you had plenty of stuff going on, but it closed off different things, but it opened up things as well for the rest of the season.
About 15 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, I don't think there's really much more to be said about Three Ghosts other than the fact that it was just epic.
Yep, no, pretty much my sentiments.
Yes, so we've come to the end of the best and worst of season 2, and we'll have one of them in the end of season review, we'll have much more of a one then, won't we?
Yeah, I'd certainly think so.
Yes. So we're going to go on and talk more in detail about the actual season rather than sort of little bits. We're going to start off talking about Oliver. So obviously, talked a little bit about this, but Oliver is a very changed man from last season. He's no longer, well, he's a killer, but he's killing less. Yeah, he's killing less. Not quite sure what else to say, really.
I think they've just built on what happened in season 1 and made sure the finale wasn't for nothing. Obviously, I think over the course of season 1, he was kind of, I don't know if humanizing is the right word, but sort of, he came back from the island pretty cold. Opened up more as the season went on. We're still killing, we're still pretty ruthless. But Tommy died, and they've built on that further in season 2. We were talking about his fears and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I think obviously the one thing you need for a show like this to work is the lead to be awesome. I mean, Stephen Amell's been brilliant as Ollie. Ollie as the character is brilliant. And yeah, just a whole lot of brilliant.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like I say, it's nice that the whole finale wasn't just for dramatic effect. Because then it would become a plot device.
Yeah.
And if you have a big finale like that and that becomes a plot device, nah. Basically. So yeah, it's nice that they've kind of had consequences for what's happened. And yeah, I've liked the development, really. And I think it's been nice in parallel with, I know we're going to obviously say this about other things, but Oliver kind of developing as a character in parallel with what's happening on the island.
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, last season we just sort of saw him in the going to the island, but on the island we just saw him kind of starting to train, learning how to survive on his own.
Yeah.
Whereas this season it's sort of, he's got all that and he's just kind of using it to something. And that's what he's doing in the present day.
Yeah. I'm just nodding my head here, basically. I'm just agreeing.
I mean, it's nice that he's got kind of conflicting ideas about things, killing, he's not going to do it. And yeah, he's just been really good, really.
We sound like we're gushing about Oliver.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, like, Stephen Amell's done a very good job of portraying the character and kind of the differences and the hardships he's gone through. I've enjoyed watching Oliver, to be quite honest. He's a good character for the show.
I think sort of, obviously you can have a good character, but you need an actor as well who understands them and kind of obviously portrays them in the right way, and I think he just sort of nails him, really. He's one of the things he's been brilliant at, I think, is just portraying emotions just through facial expressions, and yeah, I'm not going to sound like I'm gushing now, but
yeah, no, I agree with that. Like when he was with Laurel, I think it was episode 4.
Yeah.
And they were just having a conversation through facial expressions in the prison.
Yeah.
That was good. But yeah, he has portrayed sort of emotions well. I mean, he's gone from like being angry to upset and everything in between. It's nice from last season when he just sort of angry most of the time. Not angry, but like had kind of almost a feel of revenge.
Yeah, sort of, I guess cold, really. I don't know if that's the right word, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, I agree there. And his relationships with other characters have developed a bit. I mean, you've got the thing with Laurel. I'm just never going to compliment Laurel for a while, but I mean, the whole kind of, rather than last season where it's on again, on, off, Tommy comes along, and I love her. Oh, they're off now. We might be on now. They're off, and that was just boring.
Yeah.
It got too much. But this season, he sort of had a friendship relationship with Laurel, and it doesn't seem like they're trying to force a relationship between them, like in the comics, like everyone expects there will be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's sort of, he'd come back from the island again after 5 months, and they'd kind of been at it again and whatever. I mean, yeah, it would have got boring. I mean, it didn't quite work for me in season 1, and I think, like you say, his relationships with other characters have definitely branched out. He's developing relationships with new characters slowly too. Yeah, I mean, I think basically, we're talking about Oliver in season 2, there's nothing you can do but praise him so far.
Yeah, I mean, his relationship with Felicity has been growing a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, that's branching out, definitely.
I mean, a lot of the people are saying, I think it's the shipper name, Olicity, or however you pronounce it.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of it myself, but it's an interesting plot point.
Yeah, I mean, adds another dimension, I guess. It sort of makes I was going to say politics, and I have no idea why. I really don't know. But I guess it's another sort of element to the Team Arrow sort of thing, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
What have you thought of him and Diggle this season? I mean, we had that scene at the end of League of Assassins, which was a fantastic scene, where they're just sort of sitting there having a drink and chatting.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the best way to sum them up is romance.
Yeah. I mean, like we've been saying, his relationship with other characters has developed. Especially, I mean, I don't know really, actually. I was going to say something, I don't know what it was. But yeah, I mean, Oliver's definitely been the best character this year.
Yeah.
You can't not say that, really. But yeah, I much prefer him to season 1 Oliver. Season 1 Oliver was good, but this Oliver is much better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna agree with most things you say right now. So.
Yes. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how he tries to deal with this Mirakuru, and whatnot. But yeah, I've enjoyed him.
Yeah, and I mean, there's plenty more room for him to go, and like you say, it's going to be interesting how he deals with different things. Presumably, he's going to discover Slade at some point too. So yeah, there's we've had a lot of good stuff already, and obviously that you'd be wise to say that there's a lot more good stuff to come.
Yes, you would hope so, wouldn't you? Yes. Okay, so we need to go on, and we're going to talk about the present day. Obviously there's a lot been happening, not least of which is Mirakuru or Slade's being alive. So we're going to start off with Slade. It's not that much of a surprise that he's alive. Obviously Slade Wilson is a Deathstroke, and Deathstroke is a big comic villain, and for them to not have him as a big villain in either the present day or flashbacks, there would have been a problem.
Yeah. I'm on one of my tirades, but yeah, spot on there.
Well, I mean, I know we've talked about this before in Three Guys, but what do you think of him being alive?
Yeah, I think, like you say, it's kind of expected, and Deathstroke's a big player in the comics, so he sort of never really felt that he'd just be used on the island. But I think perhaps the most interesting element here is sort of, obviously you'd say he's a big bad, but there's the personal element as well. Malcolm didn't know who Oliver was until the very end, but obviously we know Slade is well aware. And it's a different sort of threat, because it doesn't seem, obviously Brother Blood's doing his stuff with the city, but you sort of say that Slade doesn't seem to take a real interest in that. His focus is Oliver. Yeah, and it's just going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. And obviously, a little bit off topic, but in the flashbacks, we'll see further why he's not Oliver's biggest fan.
Yes, I think we've probably already seen that, but just we don't know it yet, or we know it, but obviously hasn't been kind of said to Oliver or Slade or someone. But I mean, yeah, I think the thing, if you're comparing the two villains, compare Brother Blood to Malcolm.
Yeah.
He doesn't know who the Hood is, or the Arrow, and he's just trying to do what he thinks will help. Because remember, destroying the city would help it.
Yeah, there are a few flaws in that plan. Yeah,
we're not going to talk about that.
No.
But yeah, Brother helps the city without knowing who the Arrow is, and that kind of thing. Whereas Slade is a personal, I want to kill Oliver. And I don't just want to kill him, I want to ruin his life, and then kill him.
Yeah.
I think you need that kind of villain.
Yeah, I mean, sort of you want it to be a step up from season 1, and it definitely provides that.
Yeah, and certainly having two big bads is better than having one, because if it's just one, it's sort of... And I think actually having them sort of, okay, Slade is providing the miracle to Brother Blood, but he doesn't really care, to be quite honest.
No.
I mean, Brother Blood could kill everyone in the city apart from Oliver and the ones in the kind of, that come into the realms of what he described in his monologue, and Slade would not care in the slightest.
No.
So, having that is good, because if they'd just been kind of both wanting to kill the Arrow and ruin everything he loves and whatever, or both wanting to just inject everyone with the Mirakuru, it would have been very much like Malcolm Merlin, just with two people.
Yeah, I mean, we already said this little phrase before tonight, but what would be the point?
Yeah, I mean, it was good, Malcolm kind of having this crusade, trying to do what he thought was best, which was not even going there. But you can't keep repeating it. It needs to have some sort of different thing.
Yeah.
That is why having Slade's good. Has that personal element, as you said.
Yeah, I mean, almost more dangerous, because obviously Slade knows about Laurel.
He knows about everyone.
Well, yeah, exactly.
You would think he knows about everyone apart from Diggle and Felicity.
Yeah, and... Oh, yeah, of course, because he's been through his monologue with...
Yeah.
Scatterbrain. Anyway, well, yeah, it's just going to be he provides a real deep, big threat there, and...
Yeah, I mean, he's got the Mirakuru in him.
Yeah, he's rather dangerous, I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I'm looking forward to at some point this season, because it is going to happen.
Yeah.
Even if Slade gets out of it alive, it is going to be a showdown between the two of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if there isn't, then I would want to know why.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good part. We've got to obviously talk about Malcolm. The fact that he's alive was a big thing.
Yeah.
Because clearly we thought he was dead, and so did the rest of Starling City. And apparently so did Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Which was a nice little name drop for those people that like the comics and all that sort of side of things. So yeah, I mean, the one thing I picked up on when I was going back over and watching them, I'm not going to really talk about what he wants with Thea, because we'll come to that in a minute, but my main question is, he said he has an associate in the DA's office. Who is that?
That's a good point, actually.
Because from that scene in Slade vs. Queen, when after Adam had been kidnapped and Blood was in there like, what are we going to do? It's come to my idea that the only people it could be are Laurel, Donna, or the actual ADA, the woman.
Yeah.
Because Blood isn't really a part of the district attorney's office, is he?
No.
I mean, he could quite be working with Blood, but I doubt it. So yeah, 3 people you've got, and I don't think it's going to be Laurel.
No.
considering Malcolm killed Tommy.
Yeah. And, yeah, she's going to know... Yeah, of course she's going to know. Anyway. I could see it being Donna to a degree, I guess.
My bet's on the woman.
Yeah, I suppose she's the one we've seen least of.
Yeah.
And yeah. I'm sure we'll find that out eventually.
Little out of the box theory. What if that woman, the ADA, is the woman at the end of Darkness on the Edge of Town in the flashbacks?
Yeah, well, you never know.
No, you don't. Yeah, I mean, we'll find out. But that was certainly an interesting point. I mean, everything about Malcolm being alive is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if we're going to find out how he did it at some stage. Because he did look pretty dead, and I think we've been through it before about the EU assassins and their Lazarus pits and stuff, so I wonder if that might come into it stuff, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm sure we'll definitely see him again, I think we know that. Well, of course we'll see him again.
Yeah. Yeah. What about Thea? The fact that, obviously, she is his daughter. How do you think that's going to play into it?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I would have thought she'll find out at some stage. Whether it's from Malcolm, Moira, or she just finds out on her own. I'm assuming she's not going to react very well to that at all, because obviously she was furious at her mother for quite a while about what she did, and obviously, although Moira was helping, she wasn't the chief instigator, and Malcolm obviously was. And yeah, I think that could be quite an interesting little conflict for Thea, and it could be quite good to see. And we've been talking about how she's developed, and I think, I'm sure we're going to see it at some stage. And the more I'm sort of thinking about it right now, the more interesting I think it might be.
Yeah, I mean, I think Thea's obviously got to find out at some point. Whether she finds out from Moira or Malcolm is interesting, another discussion.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the one I did make it in my notes. I think it was episode 8 in the club when Roy said something about you must take after your dad to Thea, and that was just brilliant. Because you're just sitting there thinking, you know that Thea is Malcolm's daughter and not Robert's. So you're just thinking, yeah, that was that. I just picked up on that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I hadn't really picked up on that till you said it. I must have been sleeping, but
yeah, I think it was in episode 8.
Yeah,
might have been it might have been 6 before we knew, but I'm sure it was 8. Anyway, so yeah. Speaking of Roy, obviously he's been injected with serum.
Yeah.
How's that going to play out?
Yeah, I mean, if you obviously the promo for episode 10 shows that he is a little stronger now, and I guess it's going to be interesting to see how he uses it, because he's been helping Arrow to up until now. Arrow put an arrow in his leg, and sort of I'm guessing that kind of thing's not going to make you overly keen to try and strike up a partnership once more. So I guess it's just going to be interesting to see what he does with it.
I think something's going to come up soon that means that Roy has to work with the Arrow.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way of getting them to work together. I mean, obviously Oliver knows that Roy has been injected with it, so he's obviously going to try and keep an eye on him. But you can see them working together at some point.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there.
But just when is the question, to be honest.
Yes, when, not if.
Yes. I want to talk a little bit about Isabel Rochev.
Yeah.
Obviously she's got this history with Moira, seemingly. We just don't know what it is yet. What do you think that could be?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'm really not sure. I mean, I think I saw somewhere that they said the Rachel's name was on the list.
Yeah, I read that and saying I think it was mentioned in the pilot. And I've been meaning to go back and re-watch the pilot, and I still haven't got round to it.
I haven't either, actually. Yeah, we'll do that before season 2 starts up again.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly she was on the list, but I don't know. But there's obviously some sort of more than she's on the list. Because if that was the reason for there to be hostility between her and Moira, then, well, that's pretty tame, to be honest.
Yeah, I would have thought it'd be more than that, but in all honesty, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if Rachel's supposed to be older than Oliver or not in this, or if they're a similar age or not. I just sort of had a hunch that perhaps she maybe was. I mean, I think we know that Robert kind of occasionally strayed away. Maybe Rachel was one of those. And
Yeah, I think that's what I said back in the Scientist podcast, actually.
that
It was.
brings
Yeah.
a new meaning to like father, like son.
Yeah. Yes, I think we said that. But yeah. Yeah, I think it's obviously going to be more storyline with Roshev. She's just miserable, though.
Yeah. We were talking about her.
She needs a personality.
Yeah, she doesn't have much of a second facial expression.
No.
I think she did smile a little bit in episode 6, which was a bit of a turn up.
Yeah. I mean, in my notes, I've just literally got Isabel has no personality.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you need to know about her, really.
Yeah.
But the thing for the character is actually having no personality is good.
Yeah.
You know, in a way.
Yeah, I think I guess with the role she's got right now, it kind of works, and I guess it's another one. I think it's going to be interesting to see where she's taken, because obviously they're not going to drop her out of the show all of a sudden. I'm guessing she's got an end game at some point, and yeah, I'm guessing we're going to find out where that is at some point.
Yes. Is she the woman with the legs? If you know what I mean.
Yeah, we could write a podcast on the woman with the legs.
That was poor. That was awful what I just said there. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think there's a likelihood towards it. I think that was a theory I came up with the other day that, well, I actually saw it as well the other day too, and that kind of sparked it for me. Anyway, that maybe Roshev and Slade have got a bit of a partnership going, and obviously if she was the one with the legs, that might explain how Oliver thought Slade was dead, but okay, I mean, I guess that's what we assume, that Oliver thinks he's dead. But she might have been how he got off the island, got to safety, but we don't know, and I've just remembered Slade took Mirakuru, so that's probably one of the ways he managed to avoid dying. Anyway, just ignore me.
Yeah, I think it's not that. I mean, it is a big deal, but they seem to have ignored it recently.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll come back at some stage, but it's sort of dropped off altogether. But I suppose sort of none of the characters really know about that, from what I can remember. So that's potentially why.
No, I mean the only one is Oliver and Slade and Shadow and Yale Fei, two of which are dead, one of which is now a bad guy, and the other one's Oliver. No, because obviously Slade was talking about his employer. Back when they were being held captive in episode 22.
Yeah.
But that's it. That is it. I don't know who the employer is, whether it's a man or a woman. So, yeah, that's a villain for season 3.
Yep, you never know. And that'll be different again, probably.
Other than talking about Laurel and how awful she is, which I don't want to do because that would just annoy me. When are they going to bring back Walter?
Yeah, he popped up in the, can't remember. It was
First episode.
1. Yeah,
it was City of Heroes.
Yeah, it was City of Heroes. He popped up and kind of disappeared altogether again. And, I mean, I like Walter. I mean, he doesn't like Walter.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And the fact that he's kind of there for Oliver, even if he and Moira aren't on the best of terms, to put it that way, in the fact that she had him kidnapped for 4 months. Yeah, it's not the best way to get a relationship with your husband, is it?
No, it's not ideal.
No. Just looking at my notes, I don't think that there's much else. The mask, obviously, at the end. I think that's a point of just sort of the comic thing, which we'll come on to later. Yeah. I mean, the only other thing I've got down here is about Oliver not killing anyone, his not killing pact. Quite often, you can see him very randomly shooting arrows, like when him and Sarah are taking down the mayor, and when he's taking down the mayor earlier on with the tracking beacon, twice in that episode, he's just randomly firing arrows off at people.
Yeah.
How does that never kill anyone, when last season when he did it, it did?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know. Does he have a very, very, very good aim?
I think I read somewhere also someone about in Keep Your Enemies Closer, when he's sort of when they're trying to get Diggle out in that little breakout scene, when he's fighting off all those people. Surely he killed with the gun. Surely he kills people then.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of. I guess we don't really find out. I mean, we find out he doesn't kill sort of the main villains, but you kind of got these secondary ones.
And surely killing off the secondary ones is what was the problem in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, the main ones in the first season tended to escape here and there, and surely that's where the majority of the killing has been happening, and he doesn't seem to be taking the utmost care in preventing their deaths.
But I mean, it's like I said, I can't remember what it was, but like Tommy if you ask him now, after seeing the ghost and whatever, he'd be fine with him killing like the Count, or Cyrus Gold, or Brother Blood, who are causing major damage. Some random bloke with a gun who's working for some other random bloke with a gun who just seems to be crazy and has become a somebody because of the earthquake in the mayor. Surely that is the murder bit.
Yeah, you think so.
Yeah. So, yeah, anyway, I think the whole kind of not showing that someone has actually died because of Oliver in this season up until the Count, basically just the dramatic effect of Oliver kind of reacting to it and then the Tommy ghost.
Yeah.
That was just a setup, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Moving on. Okay, so we're going to move on and we're going to talk about the flashbacks. There isn't actually that much in the flashback to talk about, and kind of, it can all be grouped under one thing, so it's not going to be too long, that section, but we've obviously got quite a bit inside of it. Sarah being alive in the flashback, as well as the present day, was strange.
Yeah, I guess that was something I didn't really expect to happen as soon as it did. Sort of her being in the well, it kind of made sense, I guess, but sort of I got her in the present day. I thought she'd kind of be introduced to flashbacks a little later, but I mean, it's been a nice introduction, and kind of now we know she's sort of replaced Shadow to a degree.
Yeah, you can't replace Shadow. Shadow was just epic. But yeah, see what you mean. But I think with that, the whole kind of, this season's been much more kind of connecting the flashback to the present day.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Last season it was just sort of, okay, the situation for that moment can be connected to something that happened on the island.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's pretty away from it. Whereas this kind of the Mirakuru in both storylines, Slade obviously now in both storylines.
Yeah.
And Sarah obviously. So yeah, it's been quite enjoyable seeing that side of things.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I'm definitely sort of finding the flashbacks more engaging this season. I mean, they were good last season, but I think they're just sort of, I don't know what it is. I think, I I guess it's probably actually the fact that they're connecting them more to the present day. I guess that makes it more interesting because sort of, I don't know if saying they sort of feel like they matter more really is the right way to sort of phrase it, but I just think I guess they just work very well together, and it's
Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, they're more interesting, to put it that way, when they're sort of relating to what's going on in the present day, because whereas like last season you've got two storylines going on, you kind of have to what's going on here and then what's going on there, and because the flashback one kind of continues on, you got to like, what happened last week?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What happens this week? Okay. But you've got the other storyline as well, whereas now, both are connected, so it's much harder to forget little bits like what happened.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that, yeah.
So yeah, they've done a good job of making them much more relatable. What was I going to say? I had a bit. Obviously you've got Ivo and the Mirakuru. What have you thought of introducing that on the island? I mean, they could have just brought in like the serum into the present day. What do you reckon of the whole idea of it being in the flashbacks first?
I think it's a nice touch, because I think if they just had it in the present day, then sort of obviously they'd have to go about finding, uncovering what the whole thing is, how it's making them like this, the effects and all that. But because Oliver already knows, I think it's working really well, and obviously it's got created Slade, which is obviously going to be a nice touch, and I think we already touched upon it, but Oliver's already afraid of it, already knows to fear it, already knows that it's bad news, and I think, I just think it's been a good decision to make. I guess it's just worked very well, I think.
Yeah, I agree there. I mean, to have it kind of, Oliver's dealt with it before, means that he thinks he can deal with it again when actually he can't.
Yeah.
As we saw with Cyrus Gold, he failed quite a couple of times before he succeeded. But definitely having it in both gives it a bigger impact. I mean, we wouldn't have had Slade as a villain in the main storyline. I mean, we probably would have, but not this way.
No, I agree.
And to be fair, without the Mirakuru, Slade against Oliver as he is now, Slade would lose.
Yeah.
Slade versus Oliver on the island, Slade would win. This was before the Mirakuru, obviously. But, so yeah. And it does make better storyline in the present day, having the Mirakuru in the flashbacks, because you get to see kind of how it's gone from sort of the Japanese having it to where it's got to now.
Yeah.
And everyone's involvement in it. So yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed the island much more than I did last year. I'd enjoyed it last year, but not quite as much.
I think it's, like with basically what I've been saying, but it's just got more about it this season. I mean, kind of season 1, it was more just really Oliver trying to get back home, and eventually sort of moving to stopping fires, but sort of we've got the whole thing about the bones, which we now know is basically Mirakuru. Obviously Mirakuru, Ivo, Sarah back, Shadow's death. They're just sort of, I guess it just feels more about them, and they're just definitely more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, actually seeing it this year, you can compare it to kind of the flashback version of the present day. If it makes sense, that. I'll explain that just in case it doesn't, in the fact that it's like Oliver is the Arrow, but just on the island.
Yeah, I know
Because
what you mean.
Think about it, you've got, I mean, up until obviously now when she's dead, you've got Oliver, Slade and Shadow is basically Oliver, Diggle and Felicity.
Yeah.
And they were trying to stop the Ivo and, well, not Ivo, but whoever was in the ships and looking to, kidnapping Shadow and looking for the graves and whatever before all this chaos happened. But yeah, it's a much better storyline in the fact that it's just more interesting, really.
Yeah, I think that's just the best way to say it. I think, yeah, this is more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think there's much more to say about it, really.
No, I think we've probably established we find it more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously there's going to be a lot more about the Miracle. We're going to learn a lot more about it. Ivo trying to perfect it. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go on and have a little bit of talk about the fact that there have been a lot more DC Comics references in this season. I've done a bit of Googling, because I'm not really into that kind of thing. So the best I can figure out, across the past 9 episodes, there have been 41 comic references.
Not bad going to cram that in.
No, I mean in 9 episodes. The most came in episode 3. There were loads in that. I'm not going to go through them all. But what have you thought of them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I haven't really followed the Green Arrow comics, but I picked up on a few of them. I sort of did a bit of research and kind of found some of them too, and I guess it's sort of it's a nice link, I guess. I mean, like I said, I haven't read the comics myself, but it's nice to, I guess, just remember your roots to a degree, and obviously it's cool that they're getting inspiration from that too. And well, there is plenty of good stuff in the comics, and we're definitely going to see more of that as time goes by.
Yeah, I mean, last season they had quite a few. I can't remember all of them. Off the top of my head, I'd have to do a bit more research, but this season they've just gone all out. I think they've kind of gone to DC Comics with, what's his name, Jeff Johns, who's part of the show, and just saying, we're going to put in every possible DC comic reference we can get in. And I think they've done it quite, but they're mentioning all these things. I mean, Nanda Parbat, that kind of thing. I mean, actually, the one that stands out for me that was pretty cool in the comics, Canary has got kind of sonic, the sound device thing.
Yeah.
She can make that sound, supersonic scream or whatever. Instead of actually giving her that superpower, which would make this a completely not grounded show anymore, because obviously no one in real life could do that.
No.
They gave her the little device thing, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it was when she got Ollie out of the being surrounded by police, there was the devices, and same again for, well, that's in the bomb thing, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Having these things are actually quite cool, because it's the thing they've made it so that the comics fans are happy.
Yep.
They've obviously got the show now, they're getting these little references. And the actual fans like us, who don't know very much about the comics, can just sort of watch it, understand it. I mean, like, things like, Metamorphochemical was where, the Dollmaker was hiding out in episode 3. I mean, I don't know what that is in the comics, but it's something from the comics. So the comics fans get to see that little hint, and the people who don't know about the comics can just watch it and enjoy it.
Yep.
I think for a show like this, having that is much better than. I'm not gonna make much of a comment other than this, but I'm told by CJ that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. basically makes an episode around a Thor joke.
Oh.
Now, I'm not obviously going to say that I know this, because I don't watch the show. But this is what I'm told. If I'm wrong, then okay, I'm wrong. But if you're doing that on a show, there is something wrong.
Yeah, there is.
The thing with Arrow is that it's making it available for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, when it first started, I didn't really know that it was a comic show. You don't notice.
No, I didn't know.
So having these little things is a nice way of making it good for everybody, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, 41. I mean, I'm sure there's so many more to come. But just, I think obviously so go on.
No, I was going to say you probably expect that to be over 100 by the end of the season.
Yeah, I might have to keep updating this list.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of work. But I think obviously the biggest one, and we're going to have to talk about it, is Barry.
Yep.
Obviously he's getting his own show. We quite haven't decided whether we're going to watch that or not, but
Yes.
we'll decide if it gets picked up.
Yeah, I'm on the fence at the minute, but I might give it a look.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was good because, okay, he is a big comic thing, and most things about him were comic, the whole kind of comic storyline.
Yeah.
But up until the lightning hit, it was, actually, to be fair, it wasn't so much you had to know about the comics. You could sort of appreciate the character, I think. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I do know what you're trying to say, yeah.
I mean, there were little bits like that relate to the comics and stuff that the comics fans will know, and those of us who don't won't, unless you've done a good bit of googling. But having that is really good for a show when it's trying to stay grounded.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? Yeah, I enjoyed him, to be fair.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, it's a nice little addition to Team Arrow.
Hopefully we'll see him I don't think we'll see him again on Arrow, to be honest.
No, I wouldn't think so now, because originally they were going to integrate his origin into Arrow, but I think we went through that and how it wouldn't really work.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if we see him again. I suppose the only way we might see him again is
Crossover.
or if the Fast Friday doesn't get picked up, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But even then, I don't think they bring him on because they're trying to keep it... Okay, the Miracle isn't exactly grounded, but it's not like bringing out direct kind of... Yeah, I think we touched on this before, but like, you could probably train for 100 years and be as strong as a Mirakuru, maybe.
I think although it's obviously sort of superhuman, it kind of fits in with the Arrow world, like the way it is, where sort of a guy who runs really, really fast probably
Doesn't.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's superpowers, but it's not superpowers, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not taking it to the full extreme. That's what I like about Arrow. The fact that they don't have... It's not a complete superpower show.
No, I think it's a nice touch. I don't know, I think that's always... I don't know what it is with sort of superhero-ish sort of things, but when they feel more grounded, I sort of connect to them better. Like, I think I had a bit of a superhero geek out last year. I saw Man of Steel and Amazing Spider-Man 2, and the Amazing Spider-Man, obviously a guy who has the powers of a spider, isn't exactly believable in the real world, but the way they did it was quite grounded and it kind of connected you more to it, whereas Man of Steel, just that the final thing in that, well, it's kind of totally brought you out of it and you just don't really feel connected to it, but I'm not really sure where I'm going now, so.
Well, I actually do agree. I mean, like, if this show, if it had started off straight away saying getting superpowers, first of all, I don't think it would have worked quite as well as it has.
No.
But second of all, it would have worked. It would have worked, but not, if that makes sense. You can't go into, like, with a film, obviously you've only got like an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, so you're always going to have one thing. You can't go in Arrow, you can't go off for the first 2 seasons with grounded storyline, no superpowers, no actual like proper superpowers, unlike the Mirakuru, and then suddenly just go, right, we're going to give everyone superpowers now. Because that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it wouldn't work.
If you're going to have proper superpowers in a show, start off with proper superpowers.
Yeah.
And continue it. If you're going to start it grounded, keep it grounded.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to keep it grounded as best as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's what I've really liked about the show. That it's just been grounded, but there's been comic references, and actually, I mean, like Hive particularly as well, who hired Deadshot.
Yeah.
That sort of thing, it's obviously going to come up at some point, you'd think.
Yeah, you'd assume that we'll go back there at some point, yeah.
But I mean, that's a discussion for another day.
But, yeah.
So yeah. Okay, so we're going to go on and have a little bit of a look ahead to the rest of Season 2. I'm going to start off with something that I'm really not looking forward to in the slightest, and that's Episode 14. I'm looking forward to it, but for one particular reason I'm really not. And that is the fact that we're getting Alex Kingston back. Which also means we're getting back Alex Kingston's American accent.
I think we had quite a section on this at some point. It's just not very good. I mean, just make her British or something. The American accent just doesn't work for me.
No, I mean, for all I care, she could have moved to Starling City but just before she married Quentin, all those years ago. But it actually, storyline-wise, it makes sense for her to be American, to be fair.
Yeah.
But, like, for the whole Alex Kingston, it just seems weird. And it doesn't, not a good weird.
No, I think we were just talking about, I'm not really saying her American accent isn't grounded, but we were talking about sort of being grounded and being connected to it, and I just think you can just sort of tell it's not a very good accent, it's not very authentic, and I don't know, sort of just when she crops up with it, you can just tell it's forced, and I don't know, it just takes me out of it a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Paul Blackthorne, who actually doesn't sound too bad. I mean, if you've heard him do interviews talking as himself, obviously, the difference between that and what we can hear in Arrow is colossal.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to him for that, because he's got a hell of an authentic accent.
But I mean, an English accent. I mean, why can't Alex Kingston? She could have moved to England in the last 5 years and picked it up again.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, really? Ugh. Does irritate me.
Maybe it'll be better this time around, who knows?
I doubt it.
Yeah, same here.
It's one of the reasons I don't like watching The 100 Returns or Salvation. So it's not good.
Yeah, very, very not good.
Yes. Okay, so rest of Season 2. Obviously we're going to have more about Slade.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. Big showdown, you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if there isn't. And perhaps even if Roy's coming into it more. Almost, you could say he's got more of a connection to Brother Blood than Oliver has. Maybe we were talking about them working together. Maybe Roy's going to take down Brother Blood and Ollie will go tackle Slade.
I don't know. I mean, I think the main, not so much the showdown part, but the thing, Oliver needs to find out that Slade is still alive.
Yeah, I think, I would have thought we'd find out this season for sure.
Oh yeah, he's going to find out this season, he's got to.
It's a question of when. I mean, I don't know, sort of, I guess it just depends how it develops, because it sort of depends how long they're going to drag out Brother Blood's plot. I mean, you'd expect that to come together in the finale.
But I mean, I think they can kill Brother Blood, or get rid of him, and keep Slade.
Yeah.
It's not so much like Brother Blood can't exist without Slade, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Actually, to be fair, Brother Blood can't exist without Slade. But, you know, Slade can exist without Brother Blood. And I think, obviously, the fact that he is Deathstroke is going to mean he is going to be the main villain for the next couple of seasons, at least.
Yeah.
You would think.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the very least, Oliver's going to find out he's alive this season, you would think.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't.
I think what's going to happen is Oliver's going to find out he's alive, and that's going to be the first showdown at that moment. It's not like last year when Oliver found out that Malcolm was working with Moira to kidnap Walter, and obviously he's the big bad in episode 21 by listening in on Malcolm's phone.
Yeah.
It's not, or was it the arrow? I can't remember. Anyway, it was sort of a subtle way of finding out. With Slade, it's going to be much bigger than that, you'd think.
Yeah, I sort of... Just sort of the way I think Slade's already come into the present day. I mean, I don't think anybody was quite expecting that sort of twist to it, and just the way the whole monologue and all that. We've been through it anyway.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you'd expect something big from it. If it was sort of quite a small thing, like Oliver finding out about Malcolm, and I'd be surprised. Maybe a little disappointed too, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely an exciting prospect.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, because you've got the connection between Oliver and Slade, so that's just made it bigger in itself. But yeah. What else have we got coming up? Obviously, Brother Blood is going to try and perfect the serum once again.
Yeah, and I'm guessing they'll start testing that once more. It'd be interesting to see if he has greater success, and obviously manages to, I don't know, I'll call them super soldiers for now. But no, if he manages to make a few more of them, because obviously sort of just having the same sort of thing, just one superhuman guy.
At the end of an episode where it's like, there's been a development, Brother Blood.
Yeah.
And then just sort of like putting on the skull mask and walking into that room for like a 10-second appearance.
Yeah.
It's not going to work for very long, is it?
No, you need to do some more.
I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of contrast between Sebastian Blood and Brother Blood.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Since he's obviously running for mayor now. And by night he is destroying the city.
Yeah. I was just thinking about, actually, something that might be interesting to see, because obviously he's a more public figure than Malcolm was. And I'd sort of be interested to see if I mean, at the minute, obviously, he's not very public. You know, Brother Blood isn't, but sort of with his resources, I wouldn't be surprised if he could pin that on someone else. And sort of like, he's kind of building himself up to be a city saviour, I guess, and sort of showing yourself to be against the big bad ranks that pretty high. And I've kind of lost my point now, so I'm just going to shush.
Yeah, I think it's best that you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a more with him. Obviously, he's got to get the serum from Slade and sort it all out again, because obviously Oliver destroyed it all. So I mean, I don't think we're going to see the serum for a little while.
No, you'd expect it to sort of disappear for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously not on the island, but in the present day, I think what Blood's going to do is he's going to kind of make himself a bigger public figure, kind of trump himself up on that side, and then we'll just go back to the serum.
Yeah.
So you can sort of see the contrast there. But you never know, really, do you?
No, I don't. I think we've kind of come to see you don't really know what's going to happen next with this show.
No. Well, as we got on the island, how's Slade going to react to Shadow's death?
Well, I think we can already see that he's not best pleased. I guess the question there, really, we've got almost Oliver finding out about Slade in the present day, and is Slade going to find out that Oliver sort of... He wasn't really responsible, but he sort of... Obviously, he almost admitted that it was his fault, and basically, I guess, is Slade going to find out about that, and is that going to send him over the edge?
Well, I think that's got to be the thing that kind of pits them against one another.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, unless there's something else that they haven't brought in yet. Which you can't see happening ever.
No. I would have thought it's going to be centred around that, and...
Not that I'm endorsing any sort of vengeance from a love triangle or anything.
No. No, I've sort of... Slade's already angry about that, and I guess sort of if you added something else to it, it kind of feel a little too much, and I suppose Oliver ended up saving Sarah, and Slade knows that Oliver and Shadow were, together, and obviously, I guess, sort of the more I think about it, the more it makes sense that is going to be the thing, and he will find out about Oliver not saving Shadow, and I guess just the other thing is you could just have little bits, perhaps Oliver doesn't do stuff in the heat of the moment with Ivor or whatever. I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but I could see minor things to continue to chip away at their... I don't know if you'd really sort of say they're friends, but you know what I mean with that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't sort of expect anything else that's really major to happen.
No. I mean, I think, obviously you're going to get the big Oliver Slade fight on the island, and Oliver's going to put an arrow through his eye or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be triggered by this.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's obviously the arrow in the eye, and this is what's going to lead to Slade with his monologue.
Yep.
You know. But other than that, I'm not really sure what else we can look forward to, really. Maybe more face expression from Isabel.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think it's likely, but, you know.
Yeah, well, stranger things haven't happened, but we have something called Mercury, so maybe we will see a miracle.
Yes.
That was awful. I'll retract that immediately.
I was going to say, go sit in the corner. What about another flashback episode?
Yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed to see that. I think it could work quite well. Like we've already said, the flashbacks are a lot more interesting this time around. There's more meat to them. It could definitely work, and personally, I thought the one they did in season 1 worked very well. I guess it just depends how you balance it with the present day, like what's going to happen in the present day, I guess, to lower the action there to give... Because obviously they had out Oliver getting shot by Moira, and...
Let's have that again.
Yeah.
Nah, I'll pass. But yeah, to be honest, I don't think they will have one. Because I think last year, the Odyssey was a good point to get from Oliver and Yelfay to Oliver and Slade.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
And Oliver becoming from this person who just help me get off the island, please. I don't want to kill this bird. Blah, blah, blah. To actually making something of himself.
Yeah.
And I think that first season needed it, but the second season I don't think that it needs it, to be honest.
No,
it's got
a fair point.
It's got the tie-in to the present day, so I mean, I think if anything they're going to have an episode with more flashback in it than 3 things that last 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think.
But it's not going to be kind of flashback focused.
No, I guess you could say just perhaps lengthier flashbacks, or just a greater amount of flashbacks here and there would probably work.
I mean, obviously they don't want to they want to keep it together with the present day, so they can't kind of give it like everything in a couple of episodes. So I think that they do space it out quite well. But I would like to see a little bit more in one episode.
Yeah, because sort of, I mean, at the minute, you probably have about 5 minutes of flashbacks tops if you added it all up.
Yeah, I mean that's what an eighth maybe, just over of an episode.
Yeah,
I mean, as a season-long thing, that's actually not too bad.
No.
But it would be nice to see a little bit more.
Yeah, I guess it's where it sort of, I'm sure at some stage it'll probably make sense, like, when they get to sort of confronting Nova and stuff like that, you'd probably want sort of longer flashbacks and stuff, or I'm guessing.
Yeah, I agree there, because like the when in the finale there was only 2 flashbacks, but the first one when Oliver and that lot were escaping and took out the missiles. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
That first flashback, that was quite lengthy. So I mean, yeah, they're going to have here and there. They're going to be longer flashbacks.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of certain things will definitely crop up in the flashbacks, and it's just about doing them justice. You don't want to rush them. You want to get them right, and you'd say on the whole, the writers do a very good job of getting the big moments right. So yeah.
And I think the thing we're saying about longer flashbacks, more flashbacks, they've got to be good flashbacks. They can't just be filler flashbacks because we want more flashbacks. Because then that just takes away from this, ruins it.
Yeah.
Roy, what's going to happen with him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to have to deal with being stronger, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does with that exactly. He seems like good at heart, so I wouldn't expect him to turn villainous or anything with it.
You never know.
No, yeah, you never know. No, but I'm guessing it's like the next step in his, obviously going back to comic references, Roy, Arrow sidekick in comics, you'd guess that that's sort of the step to push him towards there a little quicker. I'd sort of be surprised really to see if they were to team up properly in this season. I don't know. I think obviously it's gonna. I guess it's the question with Roy is how's he gonna adapt to him? What's he gonna use his newfound strength for?
I think he's going to join Team Arrow, but he's not going to do it yet. He's going to get back into it with the Arrow, being kind of his eyes and ears. But once, because obviously Oliver knows that Roy's been injected with this serum.
Yeah.
So if Roy does decide that he wants to work with the Arrow again, he's going to rely on him for help more.
Yeah.
So I think that's where you're going to start to see it. Until you see that. And I think it's going to be when Roy realises what his strength is. He's going to realise how strong he is, and then he'll think, what can I do with this? And he'll think, oh, I can help save the city now, because I'm not going to get a beating every time I go out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be the start of it, I reckon. The problem with this storyline is it means that Roy's going to find out Oliver's identity. And that's another one of my biggest things about this show that irritates me. Other than Laurel and the arrow catching. It's amazing that I still love this show as much as I do.
Well, everything has its flaws, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, last thing. Bold prediction. If someone dies in the finale, who's it going to be? And I think someone will die.
Yeah, so do I. I could see Moira, to be honest, because I'm really not sure where else there is for her story to go, apart from like being Mama Queen. And obviously it impacts Thea and Oliver.
Roy.
Yeah, Roy too.
Malcolm.
Yeah, Laurel as well. Lance, I guess, too. So it's got that whole impact thing. I can't see Roy or Thea. I guess Thea perhaps could be on that list. I can't see Roy going. I can't see any of Team Arrow going. Yeah, I'd say Moira or Thea for me.
You have just taken the words right out of my mouth. I think, actually, I was going to say Moira, but actually Thea's a good suggestion, actually. Because it could be what pushes Roy over the edge, joining Team Arrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, I guess, similar to Oliver's motivation for what he's doing now with Tommy, and kind of reflect that well.
Yeah.
And I guess it build like connection between Roy and Oliver as well.
Do you think they have the conviction to kill off Diggle or Felicity or someone high profile like that?
It wouldn't surprise me if they did. I probably couldn't see it in this season, but I wouldn't be surprised at some stage if Diggle were to bite the dust, personally. Yeah.
He is. They can replace him.
Yeah, he is replaceable, I'd say. Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing. The fact that Roy's there, he could replace Diggle.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure Sarah, if she comes back into it and survives.
Yeah.
Which I don't think she will. I don't think she'll get out of Time of Death alive. You know, I mean, the episode is called Time of Death. She's back in it. I would bet that she is going to die.
Yeah, it does sound a little ominous.
Yeah. But I mean, even if she does make it out, she could join it. Obviously, if she does die, then Laurel may take over the Canary and join, potentially.
Yeah, it's kind of at the minute you cut. It's well, yeah, I agree.
Okay, maybe Sin could join. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, Sin's awesome. Let's see more Sin.
Yeah, let's get a spin-off show about Sin.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Or make her a series regular or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, I think we'll end it there, because I don't think there's much else to talk about unless you can think of anything.
No, I think we've got a good amount there.
Yes. Okay. So I hope you've all enjoyed listening to this podcast. Obviously we're quite a way away from the next episode, being the 20th of February and all. That's really not good. So, I mean, we're going to have content on the site, press releases, promotional photos, all the normal content. Trying to keep it spoiler-free for you all. And hopefully we'll kind of be back soon, when it comes back with the podcast and things like that. So I hope you've all enjoyed this podcast, and we will see you next time.